Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. And today I bring you a word, my people. Again, it will prove that the Bible, which is the King James 1611, is true because history again and its prophecies match up. Okay? So today's title, this will be again a continuation in the Esau and Edom playlist. And the subtitle is Daniel 70 Weeks, Zion Afflictions, because many has misunderstood what was written in Matthew chapter 24, Mark chapter 13, Luke chapter 21, and also read John chapter 16, verses 31 to 32, because the word tribulations that's written in those chapters does not talk about the great tribulation of the 3.5 year period of the last Antichrist reign. It is talking about Zion tribulation. So first we're going to open up with the scriptures to prove what I'm saying to you. If we go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6, I'm going to start reading at verse 7. And this link will be in the description box so you can read the summary as well. Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Of the question, Esau asked thou not. Verse 11. I answered then and said, O Yahuwah that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou shewest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, Stand up upon thy feet and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. Verse 15. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth, and is moved. For if knoweth the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. Verse 18. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So again, this is confirmation that the word tribulation that is written in those chapters I just gave to you is talking about Zion affliction. Also, we have further proof in Deuteronomy chapter 28 that they also will endure a captivity in Egypt again, and the word Egypt means house of bondage. And now we have identified as America as modern day Babylon and modern day Egypt. For she carried the ensign of the eagle, which represents Rome, and Rome is the fourth great beast that Daniel talks about. And also, America has the ensign of the pyramid, which lets you know we are back in the house of bondage. As verse 68 of Deuteronomy chapter 28, we shall be what? Carried by ships to this place. Okay? Now, let us go back to the lesson. Daniel 70 weeks, Zion affliction. So the next thing we're going to have to do before we get into the meat of the lesson, okay, we need to read Daniel's chapter 11. Now, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm just going to read the most important verses that we need to go over. I'm sorry, Daniel chapter 9. Sorry about that. That's when you find Daniel's 70 weeks. Okay. I will read the Bible summary to you. Daniel considered the time of the captivity, make a confession of sins, and prayer for the restoration of Jerusalem. Gabriel informeth him of the 70 weeks. Okay. So I'm going to start reading from verse 1 to verse 2. Okay. Listen very closely because a lot of people are missing very important information when you read the book of Daniel. Verse 1. In the first year of Darius the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the first year of his reign, I Daniel understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he will accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. All right. Now, here's the thing that people miss. When you're doing history research to see if these prophecies are true and if they do line up, you really have to read these scriptures word by word and take your time. Here in this verse right here, Daniel is talking about Darius the second, who is king of the Medes. All right. And he is talking about when he is made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. Now, the Chaldeans are representative of the Babylonians. So that's what he's talking about. It's the first year of Darius the second, the Mede, reign in as being king of Babylon. That's when that starts. And I'm going to go ahead and give you that date. That'll be 417 BC, and I have confirmation to confirm what I'm sharing with you now. Now we're going to go down further. We're going to go to verse 20. And I do highly recommend that you read this whole chapter in your spare time, but to keep this video short, I like to go straight to the point. And while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before Yahuwah my Elohim, for the holy mountain of my Elohim. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, began cause to fly swiftly, touch me about the time of the evening oblation. So there was often an evening sacrifices, my people, during that time when the angel visited him. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. Okay. Now we get into the juicy part, my people, dealing with Daniel's vision. Verse 23. At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to shew thee, for thou art greatly beloved, therefore understood the matter, and consider the vision. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. That's a lot saying in this message. So those who have been doing their research know that 70 weeks equals 490 years. And how we got that was 70 weeks times 7 years give me 490 years. So another key thing we'll look at is that what is going to be determined upon the children of Israel. And this is the time of the southern kingdom. And the southern kingdom are consists of 4 groups. You have tribe of Judah, tribe of Benjamin, tribe of Levi, and the remnant of the northern kingdom. Yes, all 12 tribes were still present. Now I talked about the holy city, which is Jerusalem. So they have to finish the transgression that their kingdom made against the Most High. Okay. And then also a reconciliation is going to be made for them. And it's going to bring them into everlasting righteousness. And he told them to seal up the vision and the prophecy, because everything is revealed at the most high appointed time, and to anoint the most holy. Okay. Let's go to verse 25. Know thou forth and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Mashiach, the prince, shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks, and the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous time. So now we're going to the breakdown sheet for verse 25, because I really want you to understand what is the 7 weeks. Okay. So we're going to look at from this within these 7 weeks shall go forth the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, even unto the Mashiach and the prince. Okay, so we know 7 weeks would be 49 years. Right? So we know during that time our people was getting prophecies about the Mashiach to come. All right. Even from the time them building the temple. And I remember Ezra, Ezra, is the same as Esdra, Esdras, when they was rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem when they came out of the Babylonian captivity. He was given dreams and vision of Yahushua HaMashiach. So I highly recommend that you read Second Esdras, because it has a lot of those prophecies. But I highly enjoy reading First and Second Esdras. You can truly learn a lot, because it's the same priest that's mentioned in Nehemiah and the book of Ezra, Ezra. So the first thing is, I knew that my first year started in 417 BC. And I'll tell you how I got that number. Because I knew my total years were 490 years, 70 times 7. So was the first year when Darius II the Mede was king of Babylon. Now you may want to take this time now to pause the screen to write this information down, but I'm not going to read word for word in this line here. You can pause the screen now and write that down. All right. So the 7 week mentioned in verse 25 came out to be 49 years, and that is the 369 BC. So they got the commandment to rebuild Jerusalem. Let me go back to my verse. And yeah, to build the holy city. Even they was getting prophecy about Yahushua HaMashiach. Even Isaiah talked about him. Now Isaiah was during the Babylonian captivity, the ancient Babylonian captivity of the Chaldeans. So they was getting messages about him to come. All right. So let's go back to my breakdown sheet. So this is kind of like jumping ahead of the gun. I'm not going to read this line yet. I'm going to wait till I get to that line that talks about that. All right. So according to prophecy, we know Yahushua was to come, and he did. He came into the earthly realm in the 7th month, which we call Tishri, which is 3 BC. And that was the 415th year of the 490-year prophecy. Okay. From further research, we found correctly that King Herod died in 1 BC. It is not 4 BC, my people. Either Edom lied or they didn't understand. But even the works of Josephus said there was an eclipse. And when they went back and checked the records, the eclipse only occurred in 1 BC. So that's when King Herod the Great died. And that was in the 417th year of the 490-year prophecy. Okay. Now, this FYI, 1 AD is equal to the 418th year, because there's no zero between 1 BC and 1 AD. That's the way the Gentiles have it. All right. Now, Yahushua is in the earthly realm. Okay. So now we get into the 62 weeks. All right. And the 62 weeks is 434 years. And that falls on the 17 AD. And during this time, Yahushua HaMashiach is 19 years old. Okay? And I'm going to read these last two lines because I want to finish that part. Now, in 28 AD is the 445th year, and that falls after the 63rd week of Daniel's prophecies. And he was about the age of 30 when he started preaching. So this was either close or in the 7th month when you go back and read the scriptures. Okay? This is dealing with the year of Tiberius reign. Okay, so everything lines up. Also in 29 AD, and that was when the temple was still in the building for so far 46 years have passed. excuse me. I'm sorry. 46 years. Hold on for 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, 46 years was the temple in the building. And I got that from John chapter 2, verse 20. So that was when the time when Christ told them that in 3 days, no, he was talking about the destruction of the temple, but in 3 days he shall rebuild it. And he was not talking about a physical temple. He was talking about his spiritual temple, which is the body of Yahushua, which is the spiritual temple of Yahuwah that's not made by man's hand. It's dealing with people now, because this is where the Holy Spirit shall dwell in. It shall dwell in people, no longer in a physical tabernacle. Okay? So that fell in the 446th year of Daniel's 70-week prophecy, and that came a little bit after the 63rd week. Okay? Which brings me back to this one. This is how I knew that the building of the temple started around 17 BC. And for those who have a copy of Josephus, he gave great information in the book of Antiquities and the book of War. Read both because he writes just like the Bible do. He don't give all the details in one place. It's kind of spread it out. So you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together. But under King Herod the Great reign, he was an Edomite and an Idumean. Okay. He ruled over the Israelites. Now, he was very familiar with their ways and their customs. Okay. He was a convert, well, somewhat of a convert. And during his reign, he rebuilt the temple, but the Israelites did the physical work of it because they wanted to make sure it was done properly. He was more responsible for getting all the materials and things they needed. Okay, so that was done in 17 BC, and that was the 401st year of Daniel's 70-week prophecy. All right, and it came from John chapter 2, verse 20. That's how I based that number on. So now let us return to Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Okay, so we got a lot of important messages. So after 62 weeks pass, and you can take that 62 weeks and add it to 7 to get 69, but we'll see when I go back to my breakdown, see how this is going to fall in place. But first, let us go to get some understanding of what it means that the Mashiach be cut off. Because usually when we see the word cut off, it means what? Put to death. Well, in this particular scripture, it doesn't mean that, okay? And I have a precept to prove what I'm telling you. So we're going to the book of Isaiah, chapter 53. Let's see. Let me get to my chapter. And it is in verse 8. Okay. So we can understand what it means for the Mashiach to be cut off. Okay. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living, for the transgression of my people was he stricken. So we know now that he was taken out of the earthly realm, and he returned back to Yahuwah. Okay. And for more insight to understand about what happened, I do recommend that you read the Ascension of Isaiah. Oh, it has some wonderful information what goes along with first Enoch and second Enoch to understand the levels of heavens. For we know first he went to paradise, then he went to the seventh level where his throne is, and Yahuwah thrones in the 10th level. Okay, so when you have some time, I will also put the link of this in the description box, but also read first and second Enoch so you can see the whole picture. Also along with the King James 1611 Bible. Okay. So now that we know that he was cut out of the land of the living, which is he was cut out the earthly realm, and he was going back into the heavenly realm. Again, watch my video about the two realms because we need to understand them, because even in the new kingdom there will be a new heaven and a new earth. All right. So now that we have understanding of what that means, I'm sorry, let me go back to the verse in Daniel chapter 9. And I believe it at verse 26. All right. Yes, we at verse 26. So now that we have understanding that the Mashiach be cut off means that he's taken out of the earthly realm and now he's back into the heavenly realm. All right. Now the people of the prince shall come. This is dealing with the Romans. All right. So most of us are familiar with the history of Jerusalem and this destruction. We know Vespasian was at the time ruling, and his son Titus was the one who carried out the orders of destroying Jerusalem in 70 AD. And that's when the daily sacrifice is put to an end. To understand what the daily sacrifice is, I highly recommend that you read Numbers chapter 28, because that is what is offered twice a day, every day. All right. And it's also called the continual burnt offering. All right. And he said, the end shall come with what? A flood. So a flood is an army, my people. All right, in this verse. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. So as we know today, the true Jerusalem, which is Telerad, Israel, is desolate. And fulfill the prophecy as in Isaiah chapter 64:10 and Joel chapter 2. So now let us go back to the breakdown. Okay. I'm going to bring this up a little bit more, because we get into some juicy things now. So we stopped at the 446th year of Daniel's 70-week prophecy. So now let's continue to read. So in the 449th year of Daniel's 70-week prophecy, in 32 AD, Yahushua was crucified and resurrected at the age of 33 and a half years old. So that followed after the 64, that followed a little bit after the 64 week. So as you can see, it does fulfill prophecy that after 62 weeks, the Yahushua will be cut off from the land of the living, which means that he'll be taken out of the earth realm, as written in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 8. All right. Now we get into some juicy stuff, my people. You definitely want to take some time to pause the screen and write this stuff down, because now I'm going to show you how history does line up with the Bible and its prophecies. All right. Now, in the 69 week, which is 483rd year of Daniel's 70-week prophecy, begins the Jew-Roman War in 66 AD. And I believe during this time, Nero, Ner, was ruling. All right. Now, the beginning of the 67 AD year is 484th year. And you see why I separated those two like that when we go to the other tabs. Because in history, they would have the war from 66 AD to 73 AD. And I do need to add one thing here. Right here. I do need to put this in here. Because when we talk about this one, they would give you two dates depending on the sources. All right. Now, in the 487th year, which is 70 AD, that is the year where we know that Jerusalem was destroyed. And that's when we had the desolation, where the abomination of desolations, when they brought their images and when they defiled the holy temple, they made their sacrifices to their deities. And the continual burnt offering, which is the daily sacrifice, was put to an end, all in the year of 70 AD. Now, thank goodness for the works of Josephus, because he go in deep details, giving you specific dates about how this fulfilled Daniel 70-week prophecy, dealing with the next verse that we're about to read. So let us go back to Daniel chapter 9, all right? Verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the obligation to cease. And for the overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay? So he that comes is going to make a covenant with many for 1 week. And we know 1 week is 7 years, all right? But in the midst of 7 years, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. So that's talking about the daily sacrifice, also known as the continuing burnt offering, that's written in Numbers chapter 28, all right? And then he's going to bring for the overspreading of the abomination, he shall make it desolate. Now, the overspreading of the abomination is that when he brought in his army, see, with the abominable armies, read Matthew chapter 24, verse 15, Mark chapter 13, verse 4, and Luke chapter 21, verse 20. Those are the precepts for verse 27. So when he brought in his army, that was Titus, under the reign of Vespasian, which was his father, they defiled the holy temple. They made offerings and sacrifices to their deities. They brought the ensign of the eagle with them, and that's written in Josephus as well in the book of Wars. And they destroyed that holy city. As prophesied by Yahushua HaMashiach, he said that not one stone will be left unturned. And it came to pass, and we can still see it today. Do a Google search on Wikipedia, type in Tel Aviv, Israel, and they have pictures. Okay? So now let us go back to the breakdown, because now I'm about to take you to the work of Josephus to confirm everything about the about verse 27. Okay? So I'm taking you there now. So we're going to read War 6.2.1, 93 to 94, then 6.4.5, 245, 6.5.3, 306, 309, and then 6.10.1. And this is dealing with Vespasian's second year of reign, which is 70 AD when they destroyed Jerusalem. Okay? So let's go to 6.2.1. How Titus gave orders to demolish the tower of Antonia, and then persuaded Josephus to exhort the Jews again to a surrender. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. This link will be in the description box so you can read for further study. Keep in mind, Antiquities too do have some information about this as well. For his book is written like in the same format like the Bible. It's like a conversation. There's pieces of the puzzle throughout that whole book. It's not all in one spot. And now Titus gave orders to to his soldiers that were with him to dig up the foundations of the tower of Antonia and make him a ready passage for his army to come up, while he himself had Josephus brought to him, for he had been informed that on the very day, which was the 17th day of the fourth Hebrew month, my people, the sacrifice called the daily sacrifice had failed and have not been offered to Yahuwah for want of men to offer it, and that the people was grievously troubled at it, and commanded him to say the same things to John that he had said before, that if he had any malicious inclination for fighting, he might come out with as many of his men as he pleased, in order to fight, without the danger of destroying either his city or temple, but that he desired he would not defile the temple, nor thereby offend against Yahuwah. So we see that the daily sacrifice, which is called the continual burnt offering, okay, in Daniel chapter 9, I was going to make sure I got the right wording. They called it the, let me see where it was. Where did it go? The oblation to cease. Okay, that he calls the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. So he calls the holy sacrifices and offerings that we offer to Yahuwah to cease. All right. Do you see how that's lined up? And he gives you the date. So it was the fourth month of the Hebrew calendar, the 17th day in 70 AD. All right. You can take this now to pause the screen, but I'm going to my notes to get the next area that we need to go. So it's the same book. We're going to chapter 4, book 5, and read 249. This is very important. Okay? You definitely want to write this one down. This is giving us another date of an event that happened. So Titus retired into the Tower of Antonia. Now, I'm going to tell you why I have to interrupt. I'm sorry. Why Jerusalem was so hard to defeat, because it had 4 walls by the time Titus came on the scene. So when you read Josephus, keep that in mind as well. So Titus retired into the Tower of Antonia and resolved to storm the temple the next day, early in the morning, with his whole army, to encamp round about the holy house. But as for that house, Yahuwah had for certain long ago doomed it to the fire. And now that fatal day was come, according to the revolution of ages, it was the 10th day of the month Louis, Abe, upon which it was formerly burnt by the king of Babylon. By the king of Babylon. Although these flames took their rise from the Jews themselves and was occasioned by them, for upon Titus retiring, these seditious lay still for a little while, and then attacked the Romans again. When those that guard the holy house fought with those that quenched the fire that was burning the inner court of the temple, but these Romans put the Jews to fight and proceed as far as the holy house itself. So, this fire occurred on the 10th day of the 5th Hebrew month. This was the same day that the king of Babylon burned the temple. Do you see how history lines up? So FYI, you want to write this down. This is why we have a fast on these months. Now, this fast that I'm talking about is dealing with Isaiah chapter 58. And it's also mentioned in Zechariah. I'm sorry, it's also mentioned in the book of Zechariah. So you want to write this down. The fast of Isaiah chapter 58 is dealing with these months. The fourth month, which is the ninth day, the fifth month, which is the 10th day, the seventh month, which is the first day, and which is today, for it falls from October the 1st to October the 2nd, which fulfilled the prophecy that the moon did not show at her appointed time, but the full moon is the day that the Feast of Tabernacle fall on, which fall on the October the 15th to October the 16th, that represent the seventh month and 15th day. Okay, so this is why I have today as the first day. All right, and today is October the 2nd of daylight. All right, let us continue. So the fast of Isaiah chapter 58 also is for the seventh month, first day, and then for the 10th month, the 10th day. This is where this come from, because it's dealing with the history of when we went into the Babylonian captivity and what occurred on these days. So go back and read the book of Jeremiah and the book of Kings too, and Josephus. Great reading. So now we have history repeating itself again. So we have the burning occurring on the fifth month of the Hebrew calendar, which was the 10th day. Amazing. Now let me go back to my notes to get the next section. So I'm going to take you to chapter 5, section 3, and read 306 to 309. Okay? And give me 1 second. I have to find my notes so I can be a little quicker on this one, so I can find it easier for you. This is my favorite one. Okay. So let me find this section first so I can highlight it for you. Let's see here. While I'm finding this for you, the Most High always sent a messenger to warn the people. And again, like today, our people disregard it. Okay. So now I found it. Here we go. See this cry. Man, not to go. I know it's going to start from here. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. All right. This messenger, or the Most High, used this man to warn the people in Jerusalem what was coming. And he started his warning about 4 years before the Romans entered Jerusalem. Right there on it matched right up with prophecy. It said what? In the midst of the 7 weeks. So I'm not going to read all of this. I just highly recommend you go back and read again all these chapters. I'm just going to read what's highlighted. All right. Now, during all the time that passed before the war began, this man did not go near any of the citizens, nor was seen by them why he said so. But he every day uttered these lamentable words, as if it were his premeditated vow. Woe, woe to Jerusalem! Nor did he give ill words to any of those that beat him every day, nor good words to those that gave him food. But this was his reply to all men, and indeed no other than a melancholy presage of what was to come. This cry of his was the loudest at the festivals, and he continued this ditty for 7 years and 5 months. Write that down, my people. All right? For 7 years and 5 months, without growing hoarse or being tired therewith, until the very time that he saw his presage in earnest fulfilled in our siege, when it ceased. For as he was going around upon the wall, he cried out with his utmost force, Woe, woe to the city again, and to the people, and to the holy house. And just as he added the last, Woe, woe to myself also, there came a stone out of one of the engines and smote him and killed him immediately. As he was uttering the same presages, he gave up the ghost. Do you see how the Most High sent a messenger to warn the people? And do you see how my ancestor treated him? Again, today we are warning our people that this is the season for Yahushua to return. For we know on September the 23rd, there was many earthquakes. There was asteroids, fireballs, meteor showers, all occurring on this one day. And there was at least 179 earthquakes, and there was like over 1,700, a little over 1,700, I believe it said asteroids or slash meteorites. Okay, so now we know this is the season for Yahushua HaMashiach to return and to redeem what belongs to him. And we're warning our people now. Do you see how history repeats itself? Because they even look at us like we crazy, that we don't know what we're talking about. But let's continue. All right. So he started this 4 years, and continued this for 7 years and 5 months. So but when the 4th year passed, that represent that 70 AD, my people. All right, now let's go back. The next section we need to go to is section 6, 10, 1. So we're going to chapter 10, verse 1. And that's one of my favorite sections in the work of Josephus, because it gives you some meat on the bone. Okay, we're going to chapter 10. And I will read this whole section here. Okay. And thus was Jerusalem taken in the 2nd year of the reign of Vespasian. Okay. On the 8th day of the month, Gorpius, Elul. So that was the 6th month of the Hebrew calendar on the 8th day. Now, you know, Elul can go from August to September. This is why some sources say September 70 AD. And that was the 2nd year reign of Vespasian, who is the father of Titus. All right. It had been taken 5 times before, though this was the 2nd time of its desolation. All right. So there was 2 desolations. All right. So it means completely destroyed. For Shishak, the king of Egypt, and after him Antiochus Epiphanes, and after him Pompey, and after them Sosius and Herod took the city, but still preserved it. But before all these, the king of Babylon conquered it and made it desolate. So that's your first one. 1,468 years and 6 months after it was built. But he who first built it was a potent man among the Canaanites, and is in our tongue called Mesodak, the righteous king, for such he really was, on which account he was there the first priest of Yahuwah, and first built a temple there, and called the city Jerusalem, which was formerly called Salem. However, David, the king of the Jews, ejected the Canaanites and set his own people therein. It was dismantled entirely by the Babylonians 477 years and 6 months after him. And from King David, who was the first of the Jews, who reigned therein to this destruction under Titus, were 1,160 179 years. But from its building till this last destruction were 2,177 years. Yet have not its great antiquity, nor its vast riches, nor the diffusion of its nation over all the habitable earth, nor the greatness of the veneration paid to it on a religious account, but sufficient to preserve it from being destroyed, and thus ended the siege of Jerusalem. Now you definitely want to pause the screen. Remember the War of the Jews, book 6, chapter 10, and I read section 1 to you. Okay? So that confirms what Daniel 70 weeks is talking about and what Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21 is talking about when it's dealing with the tribulations. Because since that time, my people has been afflicted, oppressed, and been in different types of captivities. And now we are enduring the modern day Babylon and the modern day Egypt captivity in America, which is called Osiris by the King James 1611 Bible. Okay? So now that we went through the 487th year, which is 70 AD, and remember 3.5 years, which just means the midst of the 7 week is in the fourth year. Okay. So the 490th year, 73 is 73 AD, and this is the end of the 66-73 AD Jew-Rome War. And so far, what I got is it was for about 7 years and 5 months. Okay. Now, Masada would fall under there. Depending on what sources you got, it would say it was in 73 AD or 74, but Masada does fall under this prophecy as well. Okay. Also, I would like to take a look at some other resources. And I'm going to start with this one first. Because depending on what source you go to, on the date, so I can show you how I got the date. Again, it's lining up with the Bible from 63 AD to 73 AD, which is the Jew-Rome War. Okay. Also with Vespasian, it was something that I want to read to you first. And let me see, can I find it? Oh yeah, it was showing that again. It was when he was able to defeat Jerusalem through his son. It was at the end of 70 AD. But I also want to show you his period of reign. Sorry about that. Was what, 69 AD to 79 AD. So his second year will be 70 AD. I did want to show that to you so you can see. Also, this is a pretty good site to see what the prior rulers were for the Emperor of Rome. Okay. And I'm going to put these links in the description box. The next one I would like to go to show you how we got the September date. And this is under the siege of Jerusalem on the wikipedia.org. Again, they have this under 70 AD, but they said the city was completely under Roman control by September the 7th, and the Romans continued to pursue those who fled the city. So we have a date for a Gregorian date. So they said September the 7th, which was 70 AD. Also, let's see, was something else. Oh yeah, I want to show you about Masada that I saw down here. So like I said, depending on what source you use, they would say about Masada, because right here it said, although the Romans did not achieve complete victory until the fall of Masada in 73 AD. Okay. So depending on what source you use, they would say 73, 74, but I'm leaning more to 73. And this link will also be in the description box. Okay. So you can have for further study. And remember I was talking about the four walls. Hopefully this will come up. It takes a while. If not, okay, here it go. Yes, in the beginning, when they rebuilt Jerusalem, they had three walls. But then after sometime after Christ, they added a fourth wall. Then the fourth wall was not as strong as the three walls, and this is how the Romans was able to penetrate. And the fourth wall was known as the northern. It was located as it was located on the northward of the temple. Okay, so it was ahead of the temple northward, and that area was called the New City. Another name for it because it included the hill called Bezetha. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this. Just pause the screen, and if like I said, this is still under some more research, but at the time I have it under Herod Agrippa the First or Agrippa the Great. Now he was born in 10 BC and died in 44 AD, and I believe they had his reign from 41 AD to 44 AD. So you can read about this one in the works of Josephus. He talks about this fourth wall, okay, and this was during the time of Claudius Caesar. All right, and this was how the Roman was able to penetrate Jerusalem because this wall was not as strong as the other ones. All right, so now let us go back to break down my notes because I have some closing facts that you definitely want to have. You want to pause the screen and write this stuff down. This is some FOI. Solomon built the temple in the 95th hundred year from the creation, or you can say the 4500 year from Adam. So that's in the fourth day from Adam, or the ninth day from creation. Now the 10 lost tribes, they was captured in 683 BC for their Syrian captivity. And then they left that place and to go to Osiris, which we call America today. They got there in 681 BC, and that journey took them a year and a half. So it's almost close to 2 years. So, but it actually took a year and a half. So that's why I have 681 BC. Okay. And the year for that was 9,786 year. I'm going to write this down so you have it. So 9,786 year from creation, which is day 9. And this would be 4,786 year from Adam, which is day 8. Day 4 from Adam. Okay. Now, when you read Daniel's chapter 1, verse 1, I was able to get the year because, I went back and added the king's year, and I got 558 BC, which is 9,910 years from creation, which is 4,910 years from Adam. So day 4 from Adam and day 9 from creation. And this was in the third year reign of Jehoiam. Okay, and he was king of Judah. And I apologize for my mispronunciation. Now, I also did some further research about the different kings of Babylon, and pay attention to some of these guys' history because they had the title of King of Kings, King of Babylon. Some of them, when you get to the Persians, like King of Persians, Pharaoh of Egypt, or King of the Four Great Corners. So we see right now that when Yahushua come, why he gonna be the King of Kings? He gonna take that title over when he come. Okay, so some interesting things I found out dealing with Nebuchadnezzar the second. You can see he's the son of Nabopolassar, and you see when he reigned. So I knew he didn't fit this date. The person that fit this date of 558 BC was Neri Gisler, okay, and he has another name, Nergal-Sharvizar, and he started reigning in 560 BC to 556 BC. Now he did some underhandedness to get that position, my people. Now, he is the son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar II, and his name is mentioned in Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 13. I thought that was very interesting. Okay. So this right here is starting from like beginning to end, because when we get to Badia, this is what's going to tie into Darius II, the Mede, when he how he became king of Babylon. So this is why I say backwards here. So starting from Badaria and working ourselves all the way back up here. Later on, that's how Darius II became king of Babylon. And I go back to his year of reign, which was listed higher above. But he started reigning as the king of Babylon in 417 BC. And this is how I was able to figure out, because once I knew my year of 490 equals 73 BC, I knew that 417 BC is the first year of this prophecy. Because when you add 73 AD to 417 BC, you get 490 years. Okay, so that's how I was able to get that date. Now, when you do a research on Darius II, to me, there's not much information out there. And it's a reason why, because they don't want you to know that the Bible is true, is real. But in these last days, the truth is coming out now about evolution and about carbon dating, that they are in error, that the way they are reading things, of course, it's going to show millions of years, but there are other things in the earth that we can now go by, which proves that we are just in the 12,000 year of creation, which is the seventh day from Adam. And we're about, what I think it's about 4,000 years from when the flood happened, because the flood happened in day 8 of creation, which is day 2 of Adam. So day 2 from day 7, about 5,000 years ago, when 5,000 years ago from Adam. I'm sorry, 5,000 years ago. Yeah, that when the flood happened, since now we are in um day 12 of creation, which is day 7 of Adam. Okay? Don't mean to confuse you there. But I do have a video about the creation timeline. Watch that so you can get more understanding. All right? So that's how Darius II became the king of Babylon, which fulfilled the prophecy in Daniel's when he talked about those dreams and visions. Now we are in the fourth great beast, which is Rome, and it still exists today. If you read the book of Daniel's, Rome had a certain look, and that certain look included the 10 kingdoms of the Greeks. Watch my video on that, the beast the beast that was, that is not, that is yet to come. I talk about that, and also talk about, I know, something dealing with the Daniel prophecy of chapter 11. I'll give you a great breakdown on that so you can see how history lines up. But getting back on point here, with the great beast, we are still in the fourth great beast, which is Rome. And Daniel 11, verse 40 through 45 will confirm that, as well as the book of Revelation. My brother Esau is the ruler of that kingdom. He is an Edomite. He is progenitor of the red hairs. He has mixed himself among the nations, especially the Europeans, especially among the son of Japheth, as well as he has mixed himself with the seed of Satan and his fallen angels, which can be confirmed in Daniel's chapter 2, verse 43, as well as the hidden books, First and Second Enoch in the book of Jubilees, as well as the book of Numbers, chapter 13. Okay, for the Most High gave the other nations to be ruled by Satan and his angels, and he chose Israel as his nations, because the other nation wouldn't worship him. So he chose Israel because of the promises he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. Um, so now the beast has changed its look, and that's what Second Ezra talks about, which is confirmed in Revelation 13. So instead of the 10 Greek kingdoms, we have the United Nations now. Okay. And the wounded head is Rome. And the woman that sits upon the beast that's mentioned in Revelation 17 is America. All right. I have a video on that to confirm that as well. And the beast that is yet to come out of the 7 is the last Antichrist, who is Gog. Okay. He is the prince chief of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, that is the last Antichrist. That's who we're waiting for to be revealed, as written in Second Thessalonians chapter 2. Okay. Also, FYI, Sheol, Yahushua went down there and delivered the captives in the 10,500 year from creation, or the 550 year from Adam. And this can be confirmed in, I think it's in first or second book of Adam and Eve. And this occurred in 32 AD. And also Ephesians chapter 4, verse 8 to 10, and Psalms chapter 16, verse 18 will confirm that he did go to Sheol to deliver the captives. And this can also be confirmed in the book of Nicodemus, chapter 18, chapter 18 and chapter 19. And I also will put that in the description box so you can have. All right. I know this was a lot of information, but again, this confirms, put here, chapter 18, okay, chapter 19, on what this title is about and what the true tribulation is. So now we are preparing to enter into the great tribulation, which is the 3.5 year period of the last Antichrist. But I don't know about you. I'm not planning to be here. I'm praying that I am, in other words, he told me where I'm going, but again, I'm humbling myself and I'm praying that I'm worthy to be taken for the redemption. And it shall occur before the destruction of Babylon, my people, as confirmed in Revelation 11, chapter 12, chapter 16, chapter 13, and read chapter 17 to 20 as well. Okay, it's all this has been confirmed. And also the second book of Esdras will confirm this about the redemption, as well as the New Testament. Okay, so we'll just get a recap on the title. Okay, and the title is basically Daniel's 70 weeks, Zion affliction, and this will be in Esau and Edom playlist. Continue to preach the gospel to all nations, which is the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation, as written in Romans chapter 10, verse 8 through 13, and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And please share this video with all to let them know that the word is true and that the history does confirm the Bible. I love you all. Shalom.